Hello, everybody. I am Master Rein.
And I'm Silly Squirrel.
And we are Revive Me Bro Games, a gaming podcast where two best friends discuss all things cooperative games, multiplayer games, and tech. We are available on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, and Anchor. You can also find us on Instagram at Revive Me Bro Games, Twitter at Revive Me Bro, and on TikTok, of course. And if you like this podcast and if you want to support us, please subscribe and rate the podcast. Also, check out our YouTube page with the latest streams and, of course, the pods. This is the best way to support us and spread the word.
Yeah, you better spread the word. We want to see those reviews. 5 stars on freaking Apple Podcast, man. I want to see that.
We're 5-star men. All right.
I know. What's up? What's up?
What's going on, everybody? So, yeah, man. Doing good, dude. Can't wait to talk about what we're gonna talk about tonight. I feel like it's gonna be a little ranty. It's gonna be fun, man. We got some good things we've been doing recently. We've been playing a lot of Halo recently.
Hell yeah.
Playing a lot of Halo recently. Let's see. We finished the Forest on stream, so you guys can check that out. It was freaking awesome.
It's like the second time we beat the game too.
That was really freaking fun. Yeah, and we should really get the worm in that. But other than that, what's up with you, Silly? What you been playing?
All good, man. All good. I'm really excited to dive into this review. I've been looking forward to it, especially since we finished the game not so long ago. But yeah. Besides just Back for Blood and the Forest, we've been playing a lot of Battlefield and Halo.
Yep.
I, of course, by default, always play FIFA on my free time and some Mass Effect.
Good point. You've been playing Mass Effect. I forgot.
Oh God, it's to be honest, it's one of my favorite remasters so far, but that's a discussion for another time, I guess. But yeah, dude, like there's just a ton of games that dropped on us for the past month or so, and dude, I feel like we got our work cut out for us, you know.
It's true. Facts.
yeah. So it's been great. I can't complain, but yeah, Back for Blood, baby.
All right. And tonight, everybody, we got one of our really good friends in the house, ZapitoMuerto.
What's up? I'm back on this. You haven't kicked me out yet.
Nope. No, dude, I feel like you should have like the Michael Jordan intro.
You know what, man? I think we should have intro music for each person that joins the podcast. Yeah. But I'm not picking that song. That's a horrible song. But I'll think of one. I got a good one. All right.
Yeah, how you been, Zapito? How you been, man?
I've been good. Master Rein was saying it's crazy. You know, I was excited for Battlefield coming, and then boom, Halo hits. Mm-hmm. So that, you know, I'm liking Halo more right now. I like Battlefield too, but I'm gonna wait a little bit longer while they fix some shit.
Hey, there you go.
No, I'm with you there. It's like I really. Okay, like not to get into like review mode, but there are a lot of things that I like in Battlefield, but the moment I start playing Halo with y'all, it's like, oh,
we're back. It's Halo.
Oh yeah, like I just want to go back.
We're back.
It's straight to the point. You know what I mean? Yep. We were able to communicate. If we lose, it's because we fucked up.
Yeah, you know? Yeah. Instead of like all these other dudes just trying to get KDs on Battlefield while we're the only ones holding a point. No, I'm with you, man. I'm with you. Just the other day I was playing with Haldir. And we were holding a point for most of the match, but we kept losing because literally the whole army just kept moving around. They couldn't hold any other points. So even though our squad did really well, it was just frustrating because it's like, are we the only ones playing the objective? Hello?
Yeah.
So yeah, in that case, Halo more of like, let's go, oddball, great, Slayer, boom, capture the flag, yeah, you know. So yeah.
Yep.
Oh, totally, man.
Yeah,
totally.
Definitely. It's been a good time. I can't wait to talk about that a little bit more in detail. But for tonight, everybody, as you can tell, we shall be talking about Back for Blood, as sometimes is referred to as Left for Blood.
All right. So if you have no bloody clue, pun intended, what Back for Blood is, Back for Blood is an online multiplayer first-person shooter game developed by Turtle Rock Studios and published by Warner Brothers Interactive Entertainment. It was released this October for Windows, PlayStation, Xbox, and basically anything but the Nintendo Switch. And the game has been considered the spiritual successor. The game has been considered the spiritual successor to Left 4 Dead. And if any of y'all played Left 4 Dead back in the day, you know what to expect from this game.
Yep.
But
it was actually developed by some of the same creators.
Exactly. They all founded Turtle Rock Studios and decided to move forward with what I guess would have been the ideas for Left 4 Dead 3. That's just my guess. But no, I'm glad that they this was finally made and that we have a quote unquote new Left 4 Dead game.
Yeah, definitely. It's definitely very similar indeed to Left 4 Dead, and I played both of them. I played the first one and the second one, loved them both. It was really funny to see a lot of people jump back into Left 4 Dead while Left 4 Blood had just come out. So it's kind of like when you play Left 4 Dead 2 and then you can get the ending right of Left 4 Dead 3, kind of how it would have been, right?
Yeah.
But it's just so weird. It's not weird. I mean, it is to expect because it's the same developers and everything. But like there's so much of the game that's similar. We'll get into it. But the thing about it though, and we really need to start talking about it, it really is the story, because like we know the story for Left 4 Dead. There was an outbreak, zombies attacked, all that happened, right? Do you guys know what the story for Black 4 Blood was? Let's just start there. We completed the game, everybody. Oh, actually, you know what? Let me backtrack a little bit, just so you guys know what we've done in the game. We completed the story. We didn't really play the PvP. We didn't really play the horde mode, really, but we completed the whole story.
Yeah.
But talking about the story, since we're starting there, what did you think of the story, Silly?
Yo, to be honest, I have no idea what the story was. Mainly because most of the story is being told in a while you're playing the game. So while you're shooting zombies, you have like whatever general is like yelling in your ear about what you have to do. And then at the same time, you have other characters talking back to the general while you're shooting zombies. So it's like, I can't pay attention to this, like it's too much. Like the sound, blame it on sound mixing, blame it on just the design. I kind of just went with, there's this outbreak, there's this base that we need to protect, and while we're out there, we're trying to figure out how to stop the outbreak. And I kind of just went with that. With that, and the more we went into the game, the more like, the environments were kind of telling a little bit of the story and stuff, but it was all very superficial for me. Like, at the end of the day, I just went like, we are friends, we must kill zombies, and we try to fight and cure or why zombies exist. And that's kind of what I went with. Yeah.
Yeah. Zapito, your thoughts on the story?
I don't really care, I don't really care. Do you remember the story for Left 4 Dead?
I mean, a little bit.
Who cares? It's
a little bit. It was, but there wasn't really a story to Left 4 Dead. It was more about like you're gonna go through these missions because you're just wanting to shoot some zombies. I guess.
And that's a good point, because it's like Left 4 Dead at least presented to you like it was like a movie. Like each stage was its own movie. So it was just like it was like, oh, you have to escape. Oh, you have to fight this boss. So I never really had to like worry about what the story is on Left 4 Dead. If anything, I just focused on the characters. But in this one, it's like you have a somewhat of a story. You have characters. You have these secondary characters that talk to you, and these missions that have something to do with like a plot or anything. But
it still felt like the story was better told than Left 4 Dead this, because this actually has a story to it. There's actually like more of a lore to what the quote unquote written are, right? So. It's like it would be cool if it was explained, because they're not actually zombies. Is the thing.
Before we even dive in there, it's like I just read the quote unquote story explanation on Screen Rant, and like no joke, like 99% of it, I was like, what? That was kind of funny.
Yeah, and the thing here is like if they're gonna put a story in it, it's cool. It doesn't necessarily need a story, which is why so many of us ignored it necessarily. But like if there's gonna be a story and like it's gonna be kind of cool, make us see it, because the other part of it is the cutscenes, and like the cutscene at the beginning, the first cutscene was really cool. The second or third cutscene was really interesting, and then sort of towards the middle, it just kind of like the cutscenes kind of just die off, and towards the end you get a cutscene, but then it's just kind of like, all right, you did it.
Like I said, like I think the idea was like the moment you step in with your friends, you pick whatever character you identify with, Or if you're really into like roles, you pick a character that best suits the roles. But yeah, I mean, when I played, I was like, all right, I'm picking the black guy. Like let's just go. Let's shoot zombies.
Yeah, I was like, all right, I'm picking the melee person. That's Holly. She's got the bat. Just gonna go nuts meleeing everything because that was my class.
Yeah. Well, and yeah, and I think
yeah. I mean, like I said, I don't care about the story. However, like a difference between this game and Left 4 Dead was this game was more of like a consistent campaign.
Okay.
Where it felt like, they did have a storyline that went through, where Left 4 Dead was more of a game kind of paying an homage to like the slasher films from back in the day, right? Like you would enter a level and it would be a poster of like, oh, we're zombies in a mall, and then another one at a festival. And so I mean, we're gonna get into environment soon, but I think that is one issue I really have with this game, that the environments felt way too similar, and it was just all kind of the same thing.
Okay.
Where Left 4 Dead was more not necessarily following a story, but it was interesting. Each level was very different.
Yeah.
It was like its own self-contained story.
Yeah.
Right. It's like it didn't necessarily have to be like super focal, like, oh, there's a story going on, because you kind of just get it, like it's a zombie apocalypse, right? But yeah, it's like the environment itself and the character interactions, it's enough to tell you, to make you feel that there's like a little bit of character development, a little bit of this. It's just not really, it doesn't really have to be, there's not really much of that going on, but like it's enough, right? But then versus this, it's like it's a total campaign. And you would think that there was going to be a story that's going to follow along, because you see the fort and there's all these elements of the fort that are like, you got the gunsmith dude, you got the dude with the cards, and you got the captain in the base, and you got the fighting ring. So it's like there is an environment of all these people. There is like a story going on, but I just never necessarily feel like I really got into it. And I for like Zapito doesn't really care. I kind of wanted to know. And the truth is, I actually figured out what the story was before we even played it. I watched the G4 review, and the G4 review, Adam Sester tells you what it is, what the story is. And had he not told me, bro, I would have been freaking completely lost, dude. As to, I would have thought exactly what you thought. It was a zombie. It's just the regular zombie apocalypse, and it's just a little different this time, and there's mutations this time, and whatever. That's it.
Yeah, but but it doesn't matter, right? Like, whether it's a zombie or a ridden. Like, I think that's just more about them trying to not get sued. Like they just called them ridden, and they called everything different.
Yeah,
and now they're saying they're not zombies. Yeah, but it's not really,
But that's where I feel like we also feel like the cutscenes were lackluster. We like watched a couple, and there was like that one level where you finish like the bar and you like get in the car and leave, and it's like, okay, nobody talked, nobody said anything.
Oh yeah,
you're just out of there.
Dude, that level was whack.
yeah. Like I like that one part, right? And then maybe there was a little bit of discussion in the beginning, but then you just like, you're done, and you just dip.
Speaking of, I think the one thing the game did really well that I appreciate was the moments. There are moments in my head that I think of that I'm like, oh, that part was cool. Oh, that part was cool. And even though it might have been more because of just, having like my friends and having this good communication, but they were still very memorable. Like, for example, that the gym in that school that you had to go to, there was like this big gym, and it locks itself out, and then you have to like hold all the zombies from like coming in. Like, I don't know why, but that part for me was like pretty freaking awesome and memorable.
Yeah.
Like it was as simple as like, protect the gym, but the gym, the way they designed it and how everything looks, and just having all these like, monsters coming in, like it like the game definitely pulled out its good moments. So even though they weren't like story related, it's like it kept me wanting to see what else they throw at us, really.
Yeah. Well,
I agree with that. Yeah, there were some. Yeah, there are definitely those moments throughout the campaign, the game that are just like, oh shit.
Yeah, I mean, obviously,
like, oh my god.
Close to the ending, there were a few. Definitely I don't know why, but when we first had to destroy those what do you call, like those egg looking things? What were they called? You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah, they were
the nest nodes or whatever.
Yeah, the nest nodes. Thank you. Like whenever we had to destroy the nest nodes, like I don't know why, but the way they had that like the map set with the nest nodes, like it was kind of exciting. I don't know. It was cool. I don't know if it was just because of the difficulty too, but yeah. Anyway, that's what I have to say about that.
Yeah, so that's talking about the environment, right? So I think the environment mostly, like, it seemed more. There was a lot of barns.
Oh God,
a lot of barns.
A lot of little
countryside.
Yeah, a lot of little towns.
We never really saw like a city, right?
That much. Yeah, no, it didn't.
Well, kind of small city, very small towns. It was all like small mountain towns.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what it felt like. It was just going through like really small country USA towns and stuff. Yeah, I don't think we ever saw anything other than that kind of environment.
No.
Where, like Left 4 Dead 2, I mean, there was a swamp, I guess, but Left 4 Dead 2, it's like the bayou, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
and then you're in downtown
yeah.
Los Angeles. Oh my God.
Yeah.
New Orleans.
But then even Left 4 Dead had the like, you know, they have like, didn't they have like a circus? I don't know if that was Left 4 Dead 2, but there was like a circus.
Exactly, but that kind of goes back to maybe this game trying to become like its own storyline from the beginning to end kind of sucked, right? Because these survivors are going through a section of like the town or this, you know, they can't really go out there and go do crazy things. Where Left 4 Dead, it's like each thing's its own thing, you know, it's its own story.
Yeah.
So they can go wherever they want.
I almost wonder like how, like, which worked better, like the Left 4 Dead way to tell a story, or like the Back 4 Blood way, where it's like there's kind of a story, but you're not really telling it, and then. Anyways,
no, I would have to play Left 4 Dead again, but so far at least this one I felt like Zapito mentioned it earlier. I felt like this one had something, like after beating every level, I felt like I was moving forward. You know, like I wasn't just beating a level. Like each level kind of like would take you somewhere or show you something different. So like it still kept it interesting. So
totally.
But speaking of environments, though, like even though they weren't as varied as I would like, you know, they were very detailed. Like
they were pretty.
A lot of times I found myself exploring like the houses, or if it was like a safe house, I would like really look into like the books that they had or the pictures. And you'd get a little nuggets of like the story that way. Like I really do appreciate that type of detail in games.
There was a lot of attention to detail. There was, and if you remember the safe houses, just like Left 4 Dead, it's very similar. So you can look at the walls and see some of what stuff that people have written. I actually really liked one of the safe houses. Was one dude was in it. I won't say what like was going on, but like there's somebody like already in a safe house, and like they talk to you, and it's a really funny encounter.
Or there's
that was really cool.
Yeah, or the other safe house where it's right before the bar. You see all these like what do you call it, like refugees, and like everything is all stacked up. You kind of tell that they were like receiving medical attention. You find
that was a cool way to tell a story with the environment.
Yeah, and I was just like this, and even with that bar, like it was. The bottles had like little, like it wasn't just, you know, generic bottles with like something that looks like Stolciena or Jack Daniels, you know, like they had a little brand on them.
That's a good point.
You know, they had, and you could like shoot them and then blow up. Like it's just little things that I feel like nowadays some developers might not really put the time to like just put that because the player's not going to notice, you know, or we don't have time. So props to the developers for putting those details.
Yeah. Oh, of course. And like, I guess props to the developers as well, because like the enemies I thought were different enough from Left 4 Dead, but good enough. And I mean, some of them are like exactly the same, I guess, but they look really cool. And I thought some of the zombies just like, I don't know. I thought like that same attention to detail kind of carried over in some other enemy, like, and so like I thought it was like not bad, you know, for a zombie. I think I thought it was like just enough enemies types, and the zombies change, you know, from zombies to a little bit more elite zombies, I guess. And maybe they get harder and harder difficulties. Maybe they change more. We didn't get that into that crazy hard difficulties, but the bigger zombies, I forget what you called them, the special ridden, like they would look darker. They would look a little different. So that was cool. And then some of the bigger enemies that like come every once in a while, like those definitely look gnarly, because they definitely have like this whole like nasty Dead Space type, like, like infected sort of aesthetic with the zombies. So it's pretty cool. I liked it.
Yeah, I did. I know I'm probably mentioning this again, but I did find that the Ridden were like if zombies and Gears of War characters were like meshed together and
Oh my god! Yes.
yeah, like you put them on ¿cómo se dice licuadora?
Blender.
Yeah,
there
put them
you
in the
go.
blender.
Like you put the Gears of War enemies and you put zombies in the blender and you get like the Ridden. I just couldn't help myself. I'm like, shit, I'm getting some epic vibes here, man.
Oh my god, dude, that's so true.
I'm waiting for like Mad World to play all of a sudden.
God, yeah. Especially towards the end there, for sure.
Yeah.
Oh god. What about you, Zapito? Did you think anything about the enemies, or what do you think that they're just right for the game?
Yeah, I thought they were cool. We'll probably get into the card system later, but the card system really changed it up quite a bit. I like that part a lot. Yeah.
But moving along, I guess, because we're still talking about the graphics and just kind of like detail stuff. The atmosphere of the game itself definitely has this, a post-apocalyptic, trying to rebuild because the world has been defeated, taken over by the Ridden, and you're fighting back against them. I mean, it's what you come to expect. If you saw the trailer, you saw anything, it's like kind of like what Zapito said earlier, that aesthetic carries from the very beginning to the very end of the game. It doesn't really change. That dark, was there ever a daytime level?
Yeah, there were a few.
There were?
Yeah, there were a few.
Okay.
But
I just felt like everything was nice.
But I did like that. Like like again when we get to the card system, like sometimes the card system will throw you a few like environmental hazards, or even like it's gonna there's gonna be a ton of fog or this isn't that. But I feel like
fog was cool.
There was enough variety that, like you said, like a lot of times I felt like we were just playing nighttime. But then eventually the game would like throw some like daytime stuff, and it looked great.
Yeah,
and it looked great.
Yeah. Hey, the fog was cool. The fog was really cool, and I thought the fog was really creepy because you couldn't see through it, and it just fucking running through you. That was cool.
And that's another thing I want to say. I feel like the game did a really good job in creating this like oppressive atmosphere. Like every time we fought the zombies, like these zombies were hard. Like we killed them by the dozens, but man, like we would kind of get a little like, or at least I'd get kind of anxious, like at one point I'm like, dude, we need to get out of here, like especially that level, the level with the scientist, like the guy with the gas canisters or stuff like that, like. I don't want to say more. I want to say more. Yeah.
I mean,
like,
yeah.
I don't want to say more. But I felt like that level, I was like, dude, I do not want to redo this again. We need to beat this now, like
that. I mean, that game definitely made us feel like,
like we earned it, like we earned the win.
Yeah,
and I think a lot of that has to do also with just the environment, because it's like every single step you take, you are reminded that this is no longer a human world. Like you're not on the top of the food chain. And and the game constantly reminds you, either through gameplay or again through the environment. So, but speaking of, before we get into like actual mechanics, music. What do we think about the music?
Man, there were. Go ahead, Zapito. You can start off with your thoughts.
No, I mean, I was gonna say I don't even remember the music. I'm like, I think there was music when you start the game. There's some like musical instruments, I think, when the zombies come for you, like when you alert a horde.
Oh yeah, and the sound effect, cha-chink or something. Yeah.
The one part I really liked the music was the bar level. Without going into too much detail, like the music starts and it's like really cool, and it goes goes along with fighting the Ridden. I thought that part was. But that's only one part. Though.
You're right. You know what? That bar was a cool level.
That really was a cool level. Yeah, and
with the jukebox, you had to turn on the jukebox. That's why it was a diegetic music.
Yeah.
And the cool thing is, like, if you for some reason have to do I guess just say this, spoilers for just the next 5 seconds. If you have to, if you die and you have to redo the level, then sometimes you get a different song. And I thought that was really cool. And it was a song I wasn't expecting, and it just pumped me up. you know,
Yeah, yeah.
but it's funny. It was like one of the few songs that was like not made specifically for the game. It was like, it's a licensed song. So
Licensed song, yeah.
yeah, I
They got
thought
to
that
use,
was
yeah.
pretty cool. I'm like, all right.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Oh, for sure. For sure.
Yeah, music wise, yeah, I'm kind of with Zapito. It was pretty generic. It did a job. It wasn't like memorable.
Yeah.
It's not like I'm gonna be listening to it while I'm doing work. But it did it. It raised the stakes. It made you feel calm sometimes, or sometimes it was foreboding. And yeah, I really couldn't ask anything better than that. Like if I wasn't expecting Hans Zimmer, but yeah.
No, exactly.
Or Trent
exactly.
Reznor. Actually, damn, Trent Reznor would have been cool. Just before we move into the actual mechanics, one last thing we want to mention is that this game is crossplay. And basically is if you have the Xbox Game Pass on your computer, or you bought the game on Steam, or you're playing it on your PlayStation or Xbox, you can play with any of your friends on whatever platform. Zapito here was using his version on Steam, and Master Rein, Johnny Boy, and I had our Game Pass versions, and it was, dude, it like no difference whatsoever. It was very, very optimized, worked well. We never ran into any lags of any sorts, or even like.
Well, I mean, it would kick us out of like the game sometimes, but not. It wasn't very often. But we did have a couple issues where like there was connection issues, but very very few.
I think those were during the beta. To be honest, I think that's when we were playing the beta.
No, a couple times when the game came out too, but it really wasn't. It really wasn't game breaking or significant enough for it to be like a hindrance like other games. It really wasn't that big of a deal, but it happened a couple times. But for overall, connections were all right.
Yeah, I was gonna say I didn't play the beta, Sapito, but I do remember that there were a few times where the game crashed, or I got booted out from the lobby that we were in. But it was very few. Like it happened like maybe once every few games, and it wasn't like prominent enough for me to like notice like, damn, this game is like broken. It's like, no, it just happened now and then, and yeah, nothing too surprising. So but overall I think the game is well optimized, so yeah.
Oh, hell yeah.
Yeah. So, all right, let's get into the meat of it, though. Like, we already talked about the graphics, what we think about it, the story, and, well, what we think about that. Let's go into what really matters, the fucking mechanics. As we mentioned earlier, Back for Blood is is very much Left 4 Dead. If you've played Left 4 Dead, you know what to expect with this game in terms of gameplay. It's a first-person shooter. In terms of shooting, it feels great. It sounds great, But the catch here is that there's a kind of a director of sorts with the AI that we're going to talk about, and also a card system, which I found very interesting. At first, I'll say this, like I wasn't too into that idea of like having cards, but the more I got to play with it, the more I started realizing like it really does add to the gameplay.
Since it's developed by the same people who did Left 4 Dead, you're gonna have a lot of similarities with the game, from the way that the levels run, from how the hordes come at you, from even how the safe house looks, and how the safe house is. You can shoot people through the safe house. There's a lot of things that are very similar to Left 4 Dead. But one of the things that are really important to know is that this game is not one that you're necessarily going to want to play without your friends or without people that you're talking to. If you're just talking to people, or if you're just trying to message people over the game to get them to get moving forward or whatever, and you're just hoping a solo queuing is going to get you through this game, it's not really going to be the funnest thing ever. It's not really going to be the move. I mean, if you like doing it, that's what you're having to do, then okay, I get it. But if you can find some people to play with, it's going to make this game just 10 times better, because I mean, you can actually solo play this game. I don't know if you guys knew that or if you tried it at all, but you can play the game solo. You can go through the mission solo. You have all the cards at your disposal. But the AI is complete trash. The AI that's your side, so you're basically fighting everything by yourself, and that's just no fun. So that's definitely something that bring your friends along. Bring your friends along the ride with this game for sure.
Yeah, try to make sure you have 4 friends, because that one bot can really screw shit up.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
Yeah, no, this game is meant to be played with your friends. There's no way around it.
You kind of have to.
You have to play with your friends. In this day and age, like with crossplay, with it being available in different venues and different like platforms, I don't want to say like there's no excuse really. There's no excuse. Like if you. Unless you're like you.
Well, I mean, you might not have friends.
I was gonna say you might not have friends.
What are you talking about?
I get it. In that case, I get it.
Yeah,
I mean, look for go LFG or hit us up on our Discord and look for people and look for some friends, right? but the thing is, it's just like this type of game, especially when it comes to the card system, you kind of have to like be strategizing and talking with your friends what you're gonna do, because the game is just far too difficult or far too meaningless otherwise.
I think people will have luck solo queuing on normal, but on hard I find that incredibly difficult to just play with randoms. And I mean, you could, but everyone has to talk. Everyone has to talk on hard.
Yeah, and like I said earlier, forget about playing this game solo mode, because you can go into the solo story player, but it's meaningless because you have all the cards. There's nothing to unlock. There's nothing to like. You just go through the story. Like that's what you're literally doing. Because
wait. What do you mean? You get all the cards when you're playing single player?
Yeah, when you play single player, just actual solo missions without having any friends or anybody like hopping in, and you have the 3 AIs on your side, you have all of the cards unlocked to you, which kind of makes but it's fun if you want to try out the cards and see what kind of decks you can make, because then it's like you can experiment with the deck that you want to try to get for when you want to go into a very hard mode with your friends. But other than that, it's completely meaningless, because then you literally have nothing to unlock and you're just going through it for the sake of the story with AI that is complete trash.
Yeah, I didn't know that. I mean, I think unlocking cards is like what gets you to want to play more. Yeah. We should probably talk about the cards. Because that is the main difference between Left 4 Dead and this game.
That is it. Yeah, that is it. Zapito, I guess you're the card guy here in the Revive Me Bro World.
Yeah, I mean, I like card games, but there are cards in this system, but they're not really cards. It's basically you're making builds.
Yeah. That's a great way to put it. I never felt like I was buying cards.
Yeah. So at the very beginning, you start off with a basic deck, and your deck, I believe there's 20 cards in there, and so when you're building your deck, what you want to do is you want to put them in a certain order, because the actual order that you have in your deck is when these cards will be appearing for you. So once you reach a safe house, you'll be unlocking a new card. And so each card can be various different things. So one will be like 10 more health. Another one will be sprint speed. Another one will be you get more money. Another one will be when you're downed, your teammates get 50 health for a temporary period. There's a lot of cards that really make a difference. But the key is figuring out at what point do you want those cards to be coming to you. So it makes it interesting. And so after you're done with the safe house or a period in the game, you go back to the fort and you're able to buy more cards. And what you're doing is it almost looks like like those battle passes. And so you'll go through, I think at first you unlock like 3 different, let's say, battle pass tracks. And so each track you would start putting supply points in there. And so after each level, of course, you're getting supply points. And once you hit the end of one of those battle passes or supply lines, you'll unlock another one. And it's all pretty random, because while we were playing, we all kind of had different supply lines.
Yeah. Cards that would help me, Johnny had, and vice versa.
Yeah. And not only so we're building a deck, but while we're playing the game, depending on how well we're doing, the AI is going to be throwing out cards that are going to affect the way that the level goes. Yeah. And I think that was very interesting. And so, like Silly was explaining, the fog. So if you're doing and it knows, like, if you're struggling, it'll kind of not give you as crazy cards. But if it sees that you're doing well, they're like, these guys are having fun. Fuck it, you know.
These kids
Give them all these cards, and towards the end, man, it was ridiculous the amount of like bad cards they were throwing at us. But yeah, the cards would change up the enemies
and fast enemies, and enemies would like be on fire, and then they'd be on fog, and then something was like happening with the fog, and then you were less ammo, and it's just like, God dang, like this is a lot.
Yeah, and it would also provide you a secondary challenge to get you more money in the mission. So a typical one would be like finish the mission in 10 minutes or something like that, and then you would get extra money for the next portion after the safe house. So that's another aspect that in this game that's very different from Left 4 Dead. Left 4 Dead, you would just pick up the weapons off the environment. In this one, you pick up weapons as well, but you can also buy them between safe houses, and you can get attachments.
Yeah. And
so it was very much build oriented.
Yeah. For sure. Yeah, the attachments. We'll get to the guns talking a little bit. The attachments were a little bit frustrating.
Yeah, God.
Yeah, like, we'll get there after we talk about the decks a little bit, I guess.
Yeah. The one thing I want to say though, the one thing I really liked about the decks was even though at first I didn't really feel the effects, as the game became harder and harder, the decks started making sense to me. So like I was like I said, I was the character that was more of a sharpshooter, and so a lot of my quote unquote build was set for sharpshooting. And not gonna lie, dude, like when we got to those like final few missions on Act like 3 or 4, like man, those came in clutch. And I'm like, oh wow, because at first I didn't feel like I needed them, you know, because the game's kind of like slowly letting you like get to know how the game is played, and then it gets harder and harder and harder. But then once it started getting really hard, it's like, yeah, the deck building becomes like really, really important. And correct me if I'm wrong, guys, but once I had my build, I really never felt like I needed to switch things up a bit. Maybe because I had friends that already had like different builds that would complement. But to be honest, I only used 2 builds now and then, and that's about it.
I think that's a good point. I think if you were doing more solo queuing with other people, with randoms, I think you'd be like looking for decks that like would complement solo queuing. But since like you could be sniping and Zapito could be more focused on like rapid fire guns or something, and I could just be meleeing the crap out of everything. Like it kind of made it so like we didn't have to worry about like, you know, like, oh, okay, there's a bunch of Britain come in, I'll melee them and you guys focus on the other ones, right? Because like we were able to just have our classes that can take advantage of that.
I think you'd be switching your decks out more in the harder difficulties. That's why.
You think so?
Yeah, for sure.
I wonder.
It even happened with us a few times, right? Like in one of those few missions where we were losing, we ended up changing our deck.
I do wonder though, because I did play the solo missions a couple times, like the solo ones where you have all the cards unlocked, and the build that I created, dude, the melee build that I created was Goku. Like it was insane, man. It was like I would just walk and heal, like nothing could damage me, and all the bigger ridden were just like falling and like at my feet. It was like insane, and it wasn't like easy. It was like the exact same other modes, but it was like because I had all of the cards that I needed, I was able to create like a melee deck that like every couple hits would just like it didn't matter how much they would hit me, because as long as there was more enemies, I was healing.
But let me guarantee you. Sorry, let me guarantee you that if you were playing Nightmare with that same build, you get your ass kicked. You get your ass kicked. Nightmare is ridiculously hard. That's why. It was overpowered for normal.
No, but the whole point was that like the deck that like once you have all the cards unlocked, there's cards that like totally like complement each other like a lot, right? So for example, like they're coming in hordes, a lot more, but like we didn't unlock some of the later stage cards that would make those modes a lot easier, because you would have more capabilities to be a lot stronger. Like for example, my stamina would not run out, my health would just not drop after a certain point, and it just like I would just, as long as there was enemies in front of me, that was it. Because of the end game type of cards. We just never really found the end game type cards, is my point. We found mid game type cards, but never necessarily got all the end game cards to get us to Nightmare, which part of that to get there, because the cards are random. When you unlock a train of cards or whatever, when you unlock 10, you get a whole new train or whatever it's called, the supply line, that part is random, so you basically have to just like grind the game out until you find all those end game cards that are going to supplement, that are going to make your deck that Ultra Goku, Ultra Instinct level deck, to where you go into Nightmare and it's all right, because like, again, as long as the enemies are pouring through, you're basically like healing yourself with killing people and all that kind of stuff. Just because like it's end game type of deck. Anyways, though, like the Nightmare build, like the Nightmare, I'm sure it's gonna be super hard. Like if I had a really good deck and my teammates didn't, that's gonna be hard. That's gonna be hard no matter what. Like for Nightmare to work, like your whole team basically needs to be decked out.
Yeah, I think it's still incredibly hard. Incredibly hard, because I've seen, I don't know, those like actual pro streamers that do fucking FPSs and stuff. Nightmare is insane from what I've seen from them, and they have good cards.
Yeah. No, it definitely is insane. Yeah, I mean, we didn't really try it.
We did easy, man.
We did. We just went up to hard, but like we went up to hard without having a good deck though, because like now I have a deck that I called hard melee, and like honestly, like I was just kind of like laughing my ass off at how fast I was hitting those ridden. Like the fast ridden, the stronger ridden were like not touching me, dude. Like it was just like I was hitting like 10 people in a second. Like it was ridiculous. But that's what I'm saying though, like you have to have like a good deck, but like we got to try it. I mean, I guess we got to try it if it's going to be Nightmare, but like, man, I don't want to, but that's my point though, I guess with like, having to grind the game out, it's just like I don't necessarily want to try Nightmare because of how long it's going to take us to grind out the right decks to get there, and I don't necessarily want to do that, you know what I'm saying?
Yep. I think hard. I mean, they also changed up the difficulty quite a bit between the beta and the release. Because I remember when we were playing the beta, we started on normal, and I was like, this is too easy. So we went to hard. Hard was great. Hard was hard. But then when we played the release, we played normal just to start off, and it was a lot harder.
Yep.
But still, like, I would have liked if we would have played hard, but we would not have finished it in time for sure.
Yeah,
because those later levels are incredibly hard on normal.
Yeah, and like again, it's just like I don't know if I want to necessarily like grind out the cards necessarily, like to like be super strong in the game to like feel really comfortable going through the game, because it's like like in Left 4 Dead you don't necessarily need those cards, like as long as like what the weapons do and like how the game mechanics work, like you have all your tools at your disposal. But this, it's like it really does matter what you have and what your teammates have.
Yeah, but you always see those Dark Soul runs where people run around naked, freaking killing everything with like a knife. So I'm sure there's people doing Nightmare without any cards.
Yeah, dude, 100%.
I don't know if
people freaking. Go ahead.
I don't know if we're hardcore that way, man. Like
that's hardcore.
Dude, we were playing easy, but it was still hard, man. Yo lo sentí difícil.
Normal.
But I wonder.
Okay.
Yeah, normal. Yeah. But I wonder if that's like part of like the game again, like going back to the grinding aspect. I wonder if the game, a lot of games have grinding to them. Like I wonder if like this game like wants you to stay playing longer, so you can grind out the good shit, so you can get stronger shit,
So you know what you reminded me of? One thing that I didn't like was because we were playing normal, and like at a certain point I'm like, hey guys, let's do hard, let's go hard. And it wouldn't let me. It made me it was asking me to start the campaign over, and I was like, then forget this, I can't do it. So I wish it would have let me change the difficulty midway.
Yeah, that's a good point.
Yeah.
That's a really good point. And it almost feels like, you see what I mean? Like that's like that grinding aspect to it. Because like now it's like, well, you want to go through that level? You want to go to the bar in
Yeah.
hard mode? Well, you got to start from the beginning. You know,
Yeah, so
you got to play more hours. You know, and it's like I'm not really down for that. Which is again why we didn't do the hard mode.
yeah, and we had played the beta already, so we had already played the first act like 3 times
bunch.
at this point.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
I want to do that again.
Yeah, that's a really good point, man. That's a really really good point right there for sure. Okay, so I guess moving on, because like I think we covered the decks pretty well without going into detail what the cards do. They're just upgrades to your abilities. so you run faster or heal faster or whatever it may be, right? But the director, did we cover the director enough? Do you guys feel like?
Maybe not. Yeah, I mean the cards there was either like an environmental change, or a special ridden, right? It would either throw more at you, or the actual like special ridden would be, then maybe they would have armor. You know, some of the zombies ended up becoming flame zombies.
Yeah.
It did some cool stuff, yeah. And then the crows that we always hated, right? You know, just
God.
freaking throwing crows around.
Freaking crows, bro. You just triggered me by saying the crows.
Dude, thank God.
Yeah, it did some
thank
cool
God
stuff,
we didn't
yeah.
encounter them like closer to the end of the game. That would have pissed
Oh,
me
one of those last
off.
matches?
That would
Oh,
have pissed
dude.
me off.
Yeah.
Dude.
But I got to tell you one thing, though, the one enemy that surprised me a lot was the hag. The
That
freaking
was
hag
cool.
is a card.
That was
and
cool.
man, that hag is tough to take down.
Yeah.
And just annoying as hell. But yeah.
It's like the hag is similar to the witch from Left 4 Dead. Very similar.
But
Yeah.
very hard to kill. Yeah.
Very hard to kill. You don't want to get it close to them. Yeah, so that was for sure. Sweet. So I think we covered the director part enough for sure. But I definitely want to talk about the levels a little bit, but touch on the guns. I think the guns are really important because the attachments.
Okay.
The attachments really. I guess we start the guns. The attachments piss me off, dude. I like how many attachments there were. I like how customizable all the guns were. That was a really fun aspect about the game. You can create a really cool shotguns that were like almost sniper shotguns and shoot fast and that kind of. They were super cool. But you couldn't freaking take the attachments off, dude. You couldn't replace them. You couldn't give it to your friend. And if you found a gun that you really liked, you just wanted that one magazine or the one scope or the laser, you couldn't take it off. And it's like, yo, like we can add it on, but once you add it on, it's like, sorry, I guess I used like cement glue. We can't take it off or something. Like, it's frustrating. It's like it's just like that's an aspect of the game. It's like we are already, like building characters and trying to like bring the best equipment for endgame, right? For the end parts of the story and parts of the acts, right? But yet you limit us with the attachments. I kind of was really frustrated there with that.
I agree.
But
I really felt like it was a crapshoot. Like whenever I get a specific, like of course the game itself, like once you keep going, like you'll find these weapons that have already attachments on them that are leveled up. But I mean, honestly, I never felt like I was comfortable with any of the guns, and even though like there were a few that I'm like, yes, this is totally working for me, like I almost didn't want to experiment because I would go and like, let's say I find a cool sniper rifle, but my build was more towards having, let's say, an M16 or it's kind of like an assault rifle. So it didn't make any sense to me to like try out the sniper rifle or the shotgun because my M16 was doing the work. And sometimes I wouldn't even get an M16, and so I'd get like a shotgun and maybe like a rifle, like those like World War II kind of type rifles. So like the weapons were great and they felt great and they sounded great. But
they did sound great.
Jeez, like it was like, here, have this weapon. And I'm like, what the hell am I gonna do with this? like I honestly felt like there were a few missions that I thought, thank God the AI decided to give me this gun, because I don't know how we would have beaten it if we would have had like these other guns or anything like that. Seriously,
So part of the reason why I stuck with Holly was because she had a very what's it called? What's the word I'm looking for? her weapon wasn't going to change. Her weapon that really worked with her wasn't going to change, which is the melee weapon. But you can just use pretty much whatever melee weapon, but it's consistent. That's the word, consistent. It's consistent. Like, she had something that was very consistent. Melee weapon, period. Short range, period. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like, it's not something like I know what I'm looking for. And if I have a melee, and the second gun doesn't matter, as long as it shoots, it's fine, right? But I'm going with the melee weapon, right? But like, as soon as but that's part of it, right? Like I didn't necessarily want to try out the other characters because I didn't necessarily want to go back to experimenting with other guns and going back to like being all worried about like the attachments and like what's working with everybody. It's like I got consistency with melee, so I'm sticking with it, and I literally did the whole game.
Yeah, and I'll put in my 2 cents on it. You bring up a good point. It's interesting because it seems like the game was trying to do the Zelda Breath of the Wild route. Like, when I was playing that game, Zelda, I was like, what the hell that these weapons are going to break? You know? Yeah, like, what the hell that these weapons are going to break? And so, you know, it was intentional. It was so that the player would be constantly trying out new things.
Yep.
Yeah.
And so...
Yeah,
I'm assuming the idea that you couldn't change your attachment or, you know, move an attachment to a new gun that you had was sort of a Breath of the Wild in the same sense, because then you were like, you can't stay with the same weapon from the beginning to the end. You can't, because you start off with like a common gun, and then as you go through, it becomes a rare gun. Like, you find rare guns and you find epic guns, and so you had to switch them. To a certain point, but it did suck because then you'd want to switch to a better gun, but you're like, oh, but I have these awesome attachments on my other one. And the cards are for builds. So, and it is important. Like, in normal, it wasn't that bad, but I remember in the beta on hard, like, you run out of ammo so quick.
Yeah.
And so we really needed to focus on making sure that we all had different types of weapons that had different ammo. So we weren't, you know, using all that ammo.
Right.
I like that we could drop ammo for each other.
Yeah, I thought that was really cool.
We could share money with each other, which was great too.
Yeah. Good co-op aspects for sure. Good co-op aspects for sure.
But yeah, it was weird. Like, the game didn't understand. It's like, either is this a build type of game, or is this a game where we have to be constantly changing weapons?
Great point. Yeah, I kind of felt like that too. It's like, all right, what are we doing here? And it kind of felt like it was trying to be like a hybrid of like, you're gonna find some things, maybe you're gonna be able to like buy your attachments for the gun to like upgrade your gun, but then once you find that epic one, you're changing to the better gun. But I feel like you could still take off the attachments and change the attachments, and like, once you find an epic gun is an epic gun, and you're gonna be like, damn, I want that instead, right?
Yeah.
Because like, it's already stronger and everything. It's already just baseline stronger. But yeah, I mean, I would love to like you know, share like, oh, I got a mag that would help out Zapito a little bit more. Here, Joe, take this mag because your gun would benefit from it more, or whatever the heck, you know. But I guess like, go ahead, sorry.
Yeah. I just found it funny that like sometimes you'll find an epic shotgun with a scope that's like super like 3 times magnification scope, and you're like, how the fuck is this gonna work?
Yeah. But those guys was snipe, bro.
Oh god.
Oh my gosh. And I guess talking about sniping and shooting pretty far, man, the levels were pretty expansive. Like, I'll say that, like, there was a lot of running, a lot of movement, a lot of going around, and there were some pretty fun mechanics to the levels. I'll give it that, dude. I didn't feel like we were doing the exact same thing in every level. I mean, we were shooting Ridden every single time, but it didn't feel like all of the objectives were exactly the same. Like we had one objective that was like, you know, destroy the nodes. There was one where we had to plant the bomb and get the hell out of the area, which was in the beta, which is the ship one, right? We plant the bomb in the ship and you gotta get the hell out of here. The bar, that was so much fun, dude. We gotta call them and you're protecting the people to get out. That's so much fun, dude. I guess without going into, we'll talk about the final boss later, or is it okay to talk about now? What do you guys think?
I mean, might as well talk about it now. So
let's talk about it now. Okay, a little bit of spoilers. Okay, and a little bit of side note, everybody. When we go into spoilers, you're gonna hear a little jingle in the background. Sully's gonna pick it. When the jingle stops, we're not talking spoilers anymore. Anyways, spoilers. So the final boss mechanics also had really interesting raid type mechanics where it's like, everybody stand in this spot. All right, shoot the one thing. Okay, move. We've got to do the next thing. You got the next stage and the next stage. Like, that was I loved it, dude. And like even Johnny was like, dude, I feel like I'm doing a Destiny raid right now. And I was like, dude, I would have loved to do a Destiny raid with my bros, man. That would have been so much fun because we all know each other. We would have been freaking crushing it, man. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
you know what I'm saying?
I think I would have if Destiny would have been made today. I think I would have been I would have played it because I played an hour of it and I hated it. But that whatever. But you're right. Like it was one of those things where it's like the final boss was very exciting. I like the design. I like what it was doing. I like the stages. I'm like, holy hell, this is exciting. You know, it was definitely very different compared to like the other like big bad bosses that we fought. You know.
It had phases.
Yeah, it was fun.
Phases. But that last phase was, you know, like we kind of beat it and we didn't realize we beat it.
Oh my god, dude! Thank you for saying that. Thank you for reminding me, dude. So like, since we're still in the spoiler section, so like, we go back to shooting some nodes like on the boss, and the boss is trying to run away from us. We're kicking his ass. And you gotta pick them nose, and there's Ridden following you, right? I get downed, Zapito's down, Johnny's like one hit, Silly's one hit, and they're running from the Ridden. They're not shooting the boss, and all of a sudden it goes, get out of here, shooting the Ridden, get on the helicopter, go, 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 and then like boom, and then like the thing explodes, and we're just like, oh, I guess we beat it. I guess we beat him. Somehow, maybe he ran over, maybe he stepped on a rock. I don't know. And he got hurt, and we won. I mean, the boss was close. The boss was close. And I wonder if the game was just like, okay, fuck it, give it to these guys. Just give it to them. The director was like, whatever, give it to them.
Yeah, you won.
The director killed it for us. You won.
Yeah, dude, I for that level, I had the M60. And again, like talking about weapons that come clutch, like that weapon came clutch. Like, yeah, I was one hit, but I just kept shooting at it. I'm like, I'm just gonna keep shooting. And then boom, it like cuts to black, and I'm like, oh.
Maybe one of your bullets just like bounced and ricocheted and hit him at the right spot, man.
Yeah, sure.
But we were confused. We were all like, what just happened? And so yeah. So
I wish there was one more phase after that. I felt like that phase was weird. Like the other phases were fun, and then that part was just annoying. I was just chasing a big monster, shooting stuff, and then chasing it, shooting it, and then it just ended. You know, like.
Yeah.
I wish we got out and I don't know, just another phase, right? That had more explosive action to it.
We
kind of ended.
Like if we go out and it's like decides to like fight us again, like you're right. It was like we were chasing it, thinking.
Yep.
Thinking it was gonna eventually be like, yo, this.
Send us to a different environment, you know.
Dude,
what I mean? Take me to hell, you know. I don't know.
You know what I expected? You know what I expected? I thought we were gonna have like a Metroid Prime type boss. I don't know if you guys finished the Metroid Prime game, but
I haven't.
But the boss had different stages, right? You go down to the pit, you fight the first stage of the boss, it like runs away, and they get to the second stage, and like it's like down a tunnel, and it's like first person, so you're shooting it down this tunnel, and the last stage. No, and then it's the third stage. It goes, you like defeat it again, and it metamorphoses into like this like energy being, and then like you destroyed that, and then there's like I believe there's like one more phase where it's like ultra powered, and then you have like this ultra power, and then you just fucking kick its ass, right? But there's like 4 stages. They're pretty different. They're so much fun. I thought when the fucking final boss was running away in its worm form, I thought it was in its larva form, bro. I thought literally like it was gonna like break through the wall or something. Like we weren't supposed to like kill it there. Like maybe we're gonna break the nodes, right? Maybe we are gonna break the nodes, right? But it was gonna like out of its body, it's gonna rip out like a giant butterfly Ridden that's flying around. And like you know what I'm saying, dude? That
would have been cool. Expecting. Yeah, something like that. Yeah. Monster Hunter did that in Monster Hunter World. Like the last boss was an interesting one because it's just this big boulder thing and it's slow, and like I kind of expected what was gonna happen, but I'm like, this is way too easy of a boss, and then of course something comes out of that, and then you fight that in the next phase. But yeah, exactly. Like give me a cool phase at the end. It was, and the final act was just one level, so you expect it to be a long, like big.
Yeah,
it was cool. Not that it wasn't cool, but I just expected more phases.
I agree. At the end of the day, I think fighting that boss was exciting. We did have to do it a few times before we kind of understood what was going on. But you're right. Like once we beat it, I never felt like we were in the brink of death, but I never felt like we earned it. You know.
I'm not gonna lie, I wasn't satisfied.
Yeah, I wasn't satisfied. Yeah,
yeah,
because it was like
I wasn't satisfied.
Yeah, because I, like, no joke, like it was getting hard. Like I think Johnny Boy was out, and then Zapito was out. I had like maybe 1 or 2 hits. Mr. Rein almost had 1 or 2 hits. So it did get hard. But once we beat it, I didn't feel like, kind of like that Dark Souls sigh of relief. Like, oh, thank God. It was just like, wait, we're done? Like, bro.
Yeah. It's like, oh, okay.
I was ready to keep going,
You know what'd have been fun if just like at the final like level, like in Metamorphosis, it's super giant, you're fighting it in the crater and all that stuff, and then like helicopters come in and they just drop like mini guns everywhere, and like there's grenades everywhere, and you're just freaking going ham with all of the coolest weapons in the game, right? That would have been a fun ending, dude. Just like mayhem, just straight up mayhem. But instead, it was more like a confusion. Like, oh, that was it. Oh, okay. Well, let's go play Halo. It's kind of literally what happened when we beat it.
Yeah.
All right. Anything else you guys want to say in the boss spoiler section?
Nah, I said my piece, man.
Spoilers over.
Over.
Now that we're concluding with our review, everybody, it's just the last section here that we want to mention is just kind of what we kind of felt like what was bad with the game, just kind of like was lacking on. Silly, I think you have the first one for you. I think you can go ahead and start us off there.
For me, after thinking long and hard, like I did enjoy the game. I did think they did a lot of things right. I do think it's a worthy successor of Left 4 Dead. Yet there were a lot of other things that I really think that they lacked. Like for me, I felt like the card system wasn't very user friendly, at least from my experience. I really had to like look into it and do a little bit more research in regards to how it works. Granted, once I got it, then it's like I didn't have to worry about it. Like I understood the mechanic, but it wasn't easy to understand at first. Then it did get brutally hard right around the end, which I don't know, it just felt like the game was like having this slow rise in terms of like the difficulty, and then it just exponentially goes up. I don't know if it's just because we were being too good or whatever, or the levels are designed that way, but man, some parts were just frustratingly hard. Like it felt unfair. And lastly, even though the game does provide a serviceable story and serviceable characters, that's like the last thing I think of in regards to this game. Like I appreciate that they put that, that the characters have their own like backgrounds and that they have their personalities, and that there's a story. I just felt like it could have been told better. Maybe like, I don't know, like it could have been like the cutscenes could have been a little more. I can't pinpoint it. Like the story wasn't well told. Like there is a story, but the way it's being told, it just doesn't work.
Destiny. It's like the first Destiny, the way they told the story. I don't go online and look it up.
Yeah, I don't have time to tell you what I don't have time for. Anyway,
so fight the rhythm.
So at the end of the day, I think this game is just, in terms of gameplay and in terms of co-op, it's fantastic. So for me, it's a 6 out of 10. And a 6 out of 10 doesn't mean it's bad. It just means that it could have done a lot of other things good. Yet, if you play this game with friends, you will have a good time. I mean, yes, I know that's true for any game, but this game specifically, because it's made to be played with friends, you will have a good time. And I would recommend it in our list of co-op games. But my final verdict is 6 out of 10.
Heck yeah. I definitely am really glad that this type of game came out. I definitely enjoy my zombie games here and there, right? I'm definitely down to play this one into the future.
Mm-hmm. Same.
You know what I'm saying? I'm definitely super like maybe Halloween comes around, or it's like, because it looks good, the game looks good, the game plays very well. We'll stream it, right? It's like Halloween. Let's get into zombies again. Let's fight some bunch of zombies. But the thing about this game, man, like just straight up, I'll tell you right now, if you were playing this game by yourself, it's a 2 out of 10 in my book. Like other than the graphics and like the design of the game, or whatever, like the game is meaningless to play solo. Like it's just like maybe if you're playing like the versus mode. But like there's other versus modes and other games that are a lot of fun, and you don't necessarily have to do Back 4 Bloods, because like the meaningless part really comes like with the story, like the solo story. There's just no point to play that story solo. You have everything already, right? And if you're not playing with friends, with people that you're communicating with, you're just gonna find a lot of lobbies that are really frustrating. But if you're playing with friends, man, this game it's a ton of fun. I mean, it's a mindless zombie shooter. Like the story isn't there because it's kind of like a mindless zombie shooter, so they're not even like trying to like bother you with the story. But at the end of it, like I feel like that I just don't really necessarily am going to go back to replay it other than like for Halloween, other than like there's just not the replayability for me. The card system and how difficult the game can get, I'm just not really necessarily looking forward to doing all that. But if like all of my friends were like, let's play because we're excited, I'd be like, all right, let's do it.
I liked the game. I liked it. I didn't love it. But my biggest gripes with it is I like playing co-op games. So I've played a few. We got Left 4 Dead, and we didn't mention it, but Zombie Army is another one that I've played. That's pretty good. The thing that this one's lacking, and I get what they were trying to do. They were trying to do a single story campaign in like one environment, but these other games, what's great is like they're memorable levels because one is in like in the Zombie Army, you'll be in like Paris, and then another one in Germany. And like the bosses were just more memorable, and there was more memorable events that happened. There were some memorable stuff that happened in this game. Yeah, and then the latest Zombie Army ended up having like a progression system, which was nice as well. Granted, not like a card system like this. So I did like the cards actually quite a bit in this one.
Yeah.
And that, yeah, but I agree with Ray too. It's like we finished it, and sure, I'd like to get more cards, but after finishing it, like, do I really want to go through that again? Or because like in Left 4 Dead, even if we were gonna go back, we could be like, oh, we're gonna go to that one mission that we like, we're gonna go back to the carnival, or it lacked those moments, like the carnival. That's a good one. For sure. But it was but it was just cooler. I don't know, the environment was different. The memorable moments that we like right now, we were just talking, the bar scene was cool. But there weren't as many of those bar types of missions.
Yeah, agreed. 100% agreed. Yeah.
And then the main big bosses that we deal with, they were basically the same.
Yeah,
boss,
it was over and over and over.
Oh, there's really only like 3 different bosses. It's like that one dude that kind of comes out of the ground, a smaller version of him, and then the final boss.
Yeah. And at least like the hag was something surprising that we got later, because it came up very late in the game, so we thought we had seen all the different like types of zombies, so that was cool to see.
Yeah.
But yeah, the card system was cool. I think another thing that's kind of sucks is that customizing your character, like there wasn't much. There were like a few skins, but the way you unlock them, you had to complete a supply line, and as we were mentioning, sometimes you might not even get your character, so you have to like finish it up for other people.
Grind.
Jesus.
So, and then I think I would have liked it more if we did hard. I know Silly said that it got incredibly hard at the end, and I agree with him, but it was weird though. It was a spike that just happened out of nowhere. Like everything was normal.
Yeah.
And then there was just a few levels towards the end where you're like, holy shit, how'd this get so hard?
Yeah. No, seriously. But you're right, Zapito. I think, like I said, like in the beginning, you felt like it was a little too easy, and then it just like went hard. So who knows?
Scaled.
Who knows? Maybe if we would have played it in hard mode, it would have been more, more anxiety inducing.
Yeah, exactly. Because you didn't get to play the beta with us, Silly, but we did play hard in the beta, and like it was funner because it was way more tense. It was constant tension of like, oh man, we're running out of ammo again.
So I
man,
think
like there was a lot more communication between us. Where in this one, like I barely had an issue with ammo.
Good point.
yeah,
Good
same,
point.
same, yeah.
Not until the end. Yeah.
I think what we should do though is like maybe for next Halloween we just replay I don't say we should beat it, but we should definitely do some streams where we play it on hard. Yeah, I mean, why not?
And, like I said, if you guys want to do it, I'm not opposed to it. I had a really good time playing it.
Yeah.
I had a really good time playing it.
So, Zapito, what is your final rating of the game?
I'd give it a 7 out of 10.
Heck yeah.
Because it was good. It was good. It scratched the Left 4 Dead itch that I wanted to scratch, for a while.
Yeah.
So, it did it. We all had fun playing it. But it wasn't an amazing game.
I think everybody was definitely very fair with their ratings, and like mine and Silly's 6 out of 10. It doesn't mean like this game is bad. It's just we think there may be certain elements because we're certain story type people as well, right? But I definitely think like 6, 7 out of 10. I think this is right where this game is in line. But I definitely think if you have friends and you guys are itching for something Left 4 Dead-ish, like Zapito said, download it, especially if you have the Game Pass. Download it. It's not a bad time. But that's it for today's episode, everybody. Thank you so much for joining us. And remember to follow us on Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, and Twitch. We are available on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, and YouTube. Remember to leave us a comment. We're always looking forward to what you guys say. And look forward to our next episode, everybody. This is Master Rein and Silly Squirrel and Zapito signing out. And remember, everybody, always heal your teammates before they die.
Peace.
See you, everybody.
Try not to spend all your money on Steam games.
Lord Gabe has opened the gates again.